Today, President Biden was here in New York City, and he did not mince words when addressing the world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly today. He called on allies to continue giving aid to Ukraine as the country fends off Russia's invasion. Biden then made it clear that the U.S. will continue to stand with the, quote, brave people of Ukraine and will hold Russia accountable.
It's Russia alone that stands in the way of peace, because Russia's price for peace is Ukraine's capitulation, Ukraine's territory, and Ukraine's children. We have to stand up to this naked aggression today and deter other would-be aggressors tomorrow.
And as you can see right there, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy was also in the audience listening to President Biden's speech. He appeared stoic and drawn, the stress of this 19-month war evident on his face. This is the first time he's attended the United Nations since Russia invaded his country. Zelenskyy also addressed the assembly this afternoon, and he said Russia's invasion will not stop with Ukraine. He warned the world leaders their country will be next.
This is clearly a genocide. When hatred is weaponized against one nation, it never stops there. Each decade, Russia starts a new war. Many seats in the General Assembly Hall may become empty if Russia succeeds with its treachery and aggression.
The UN Assembly comes as American support for the Ukraine war effort is declining. According to a CNN poll last month, 55% of Americans do not want the U.S. to authorize more funding for Ukraine. Congress is currently weighing President Biden's request to give $24 billion more in aid. Joining us now to break all of this down is the Cato Institute's Director of Defense and Foreign Policy Studies, Justin Logan. Also joining us is NewsNation's senior national security contributor, General Richard Newton. Gentlemen, good to have you both here. Both presidents, Biden and Zelenskyy, today warned that Russian aggression will not stop and that American dollars are well spent by arming Ukraine now. General Newton, you agree. Tell me why.
I do. I think it's clear that Russia has aims not only, in terms of Ukraine, but possibly beyond Ukraine. And you think of the debacle that would occur, that's already a debacle in terms of the largest land invasion since World War II of him invading Ukraine. But if it happened to touch the shores of the land base of an Article 5 NATO country, then all of NATO could be potentially, trying to, engage with Russia, and that would be significant. The other aspect of this is I don't believe we can allow for Russia to attack a neighbor such as it's done since the last 19 months. And then what do you say to the rest of the world, especially in a situation where you've got China, Taiwan, and others? And so I believe we're on the right course here. I think we have to show some more resolve and patience, especially as the tide, I believe, is going to begin to turn here in the counteroffensive in the coming weeks and months.
Well, a lot of people think that counteroffensive is not going well. Justin, American support for giving more money to Ukraine is waning. A narrow majority now oppose giving more. The argument is arm Ukraine so they fight and we don't have to fight down the road if he invades Poland or one of our NATO allies. Do you buy that?
I don't buy it. It seems to me that the vaunted Russian military has its hands quite full in Ukraine, a country that it should have, on paper, been able to quite effectively bully starting in February of 2022. And we now know that there's been a tremendous amount of American intelligence, American materiel, American financial and material aid given to Ukraine. But a Russia that has been brought to heel by Ukraine, that has not been able to achieve its maximal objectives in Ukraine, is far from posing a threat to a country like Poland. When I've talked to Polish military officers, on the one hand, yes, they're quite alarmed at a country like Russia that's so risk inclined that it's willing to attack Ukraine, to invade it with a full-blown army. But at the same time, these Polish officers see a Russia that's floundering in Ukraine to advance, and they see the idea of Russia stretching its supply lines 300, 400, 500 more miles, and sort of snicker at the idea that this Russian army could pose a threat even to a country, a medium middle tier country like Poland.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.